9. 1T1. 17. PS 36. 9. Just 17. 13. The first of his creations was given life, namely, his only begotten Son, the Word. Job 1. 1-3. Col 1. 15. Through this Son, other living angelic sons of God were created. Job 38. 4-7. Col 1. 16, 17. Later, the physical universe was brought into existence. Ge 1. 1, 2, and on the third of Earth's creative days the first forms of physical life. Grass, vegetation, and fruit trees. On the fifth day, living earthly souls, sea animals, and winged flying creatures were created, and on the sixth day, land animals and, finally, man. Ge 1. 11-13, 20-23, 24-31. Acts 17. 25. See creation. Day. Consequently, life on Earth did not have to wait for some chance combination of chemicals to occur under certain exact conditions. Such a thing has never yet been observed and, in fact, is impossible. Life on Earth came to be as the result of a direct command of Jehovah God, the source of life, and by the direct action of his Son in carrying out that command. Only life begets life. The Bible account tells us in each instance that the thing created brought forth offspring in its likeness, or, according to its kind. Ge 1. 12, 21, 25. 5. 3 scientists have found that there is indeed discontinuity between the different kinds, and, except for the question of origin, this has been the chief obstacle to the theory of evolution. See kind. Life force and breath. In earthly creatures, or souls, there is both the active life force, or spirit that animates them, and the breath that sustains that life force. Both spirit life force and breath are provisions from God, and he can destroy life by taking either away. PS 104. 29. Isra 42. 5. At the time of the flood, animals and humans were drowned. Their breath was cut off and the force of life was extinguished. It died out. Everything in which the breath of the force of life was active, literally, in which the breath of the active force spirit of life was in its nostrils, namely, all that were on the dry ground, died. Ge 7. 22. Compare Robert Young's translation. See spirit. Organism. All things having life, either spiritual or fleshly, have an organism, or body. Life itself is impersonal, incorporeal, being merely the life principle. In discussing the kind of body with which resurrected persons will come back, the Apostle Paul explains that those created for different environments have different bodies. As for those having life on earth, he says, not all flesh is the same flesh, but there is one of mankind, and there is another flesh of cattle, and another flesh of birds, and another of fish. He says also that there are heavenly bodies, and earthly bodies. But the glory of the heavenly bodies is one sort, and that of the earthly bodies is a different sort. 1 Cor 15. 39, 40. Regarding the difference in the flesh of various earthly bodies, the 1942 edition of the Encyclopaedia Britannica Volume 14, p. 42 says, another feature is the chemical individuality everywhere manifest, for each distinct type of organism seems to have some distinctive protein of its own, and some characteristic rate or rhythm of metabolism. Thus, under the general quality of persistence amid unceasing metabolism, there is a triad of facts. 1. The building up that compensates for the breaking down of proteins. 2. The occurrence of these proteins in the colloidal state. And 3. Their specificity from type to type. Italics hours. Transmission of life force. The life force in creatures, being started into activity o textoi acute miritra longo. Life 247. Death. By the way that some authorities attempt to categorize the various aspects of the process of death. Clinical death, the cessation of the functions of the respiratory and the circulatory organs. Brain death, total and irreversible stopping of brain function. Somatic death, the gradual and eventually complete disappearance of vital functions from all organs and tissues of the body. So even after breathing, heartbeat, and brain function have ceased, the life force lingers for a time in the body's tissues. Aging and death. All forms of vegetable life, as well as animal life, are transitory. A long-standing question among scientists has been, why does man grow old and die? Some scientists propose that there is a genetically determined lifespan for each cell. For support they point to experiments in which cells cultured in an artificial environment were found to stop dividing after about 50 divisions. Other scientists, however, contend that such experiments do not provide insight into why whole organisms age. Various other explanations are offered, including the theory that the brain releases hormones that play a large part in aging and subsequent death. That a person must be cautious about accepting one theory over another is suggested by the comments of Roy L. Walford, MD, who said, "It's not a cause for alarm or even surprise that Hayflick's paradigm, the theory that aging is built into the cell's genetics, may prove ultimately false, or be replaced by better, but ultimately equally false paradigm. Everything is true for its own time." Maximum Lifespan, 1983, p.